Imagine boarding a train designed to move faster than a jet, only to find the tracks swallowed by forests, the stations silent, and nature slowly reclaiming everything humans once built. For decades, high-speed rail was seen as the future of transportation. Sleek bullet trains racing across continents, connecting megacities in minutes, powered by cutting-edge technology and unstoppable human ambition. But what happens when the humans disappear and the trains don't? Picture this. A bright morning somewhere in the future. The sun rises over what used to be one of the busiest rail corridors on Earth. Massive, high-speed tracks stretch across valleys and cities, but something is different now. Grass pushes through the concrete. Thick vines coil around rusting signal towers. The sound of engines has been replaced by wind moving through empty stations. These are the ghost trains of the future. Once upon a time, these rail lines carried millions of passengers every day. Business travelers racing to meetings, tourists staring out the windows as cities blurred by, students commuting across entire regions like it was nothing. But now, silence. Inside an abandoned station, digital boards still hang from the ceiling. The screens are dark. Dust coats the benches. A paper ticket lies on the floor like it was dropped yesterday, even though decades have passed. Outside, the tracks stretch into the distance. Steel rails that once carried trains at 300 miles per hour now sit quietly under layers of moss. Small plants grow between the sleepers. Nature has started its slow, unstoppable takeover. At first, it's subtle. Tiny cracks form in the concrete platforms. Rainwater slips inside. Winter freezes expand those cracks. Over time, weeds and wildflowers push their way up through the gaps. Give nature a few years, and the change becomes impossible to ignore. Signal poles tilt slowly as their foundations weaken. Electric cables snap and fall. Stations that once echoed with thousands of voices become shelters for birds, foxes, and deer. And then there are the trains themselves. In massive maintenance depots outside the cities, rows of bullet trains sit exactly where they were left. Their aerodynamic noses still point forward like they're ready to depart at any second. But they never will. Dust coats the windows. Paint begins to peel. The once perfect metal surfaces slowly surrender to rust and weather. Decades pass. One train sits half buried in tall grass. Another rests under the shade of trees that didn't exist when it was built. Roots push under the tracks, slowly bending the rails out of alignment. Nature doesn't rush, it just waits. Windstorms rip loose panels from station roofs. Rain pours inside. Wooden interiors rot. Steel structures weaken. Animals move in. Birds build nests inside control rooms. Foxes wander through ticket halls. A family of deer crosses the rails where trains once thundered at unbelievable speeds. Imagine standing there. You're in the middle of what used to be a high-speed rail corridor connecting some of the biggest cities on Earth. Now it feels more like a forgotten hiking trail. The rails stretch ahead, disappearing into a forest that grew where suburbs once stood. But the ghost trains remain. Somewhere deep inside an overgrown rail yard, one bullet train still rests on its tracks. Vines climb its sides like green veins wrapping around the metal body. Its windshield is cracked, but the shape of the machine still looks futuristic. It's like the future frozen in time. For a while, these structures hold strong. Engineers built them to last for decades. Bridges made of steel and concrete stand tall across rivers and valleys. But even the strongest human creations can't stop nature forever. Rust eats away at metal joints. Tree roots push against bridge foundations. Storm after storm weakens the structures, piece by piece. One day, a section of elevated track finally gives in. With a deep groan of metal and concrete, it collapses into the valley below. The rails twist like ribbons. plants quickly begin growing through the debris. Nature wastes nothing. Years turn into decades. Entire rail networks slowly vanish under layers of forest, soil, and time. In some places, the tracks remain visible like scars across the landscape. In others, they disappear completely. A traveler walking through the wilderness centuries later might stumble upon something strange. A perfectly straight path cutting through the forest, metal lines buried beneath the dirt, maybe even the remains of a train car half hidden by vines. A mystery from another civilization. Because that's what these railways really were. Proof of a time when humans believed speed could conquer distance, when technology promised to connect every city on Earth in a web of steel and electricity. And for a while, it worked. High-speed rail changed how people lived. Cities grew closer together. Travel became faster, cleaner, more efficient. But without maintenance, without engineers, without the constant attention of human hands, even the most advanced technology becomes fragile. Nature doesn't need permission to take things back. Grass becomes shrubs, shrubs become forests, rivers shift their paths, animals migrate into spaces humans once dominated. The ghost trains sit quietly as the world transforms around them. Sometimes storms roll across the abandoned tracks, lightning flashing across empty landscapes. Rain pounds against rusting train cars that once carried thousands of passengers every day. Now, the only passengers are spiders spinning webs inside the cabins. If you could step inside one of those trains, you'd see rows of seats still lined up perfectly, overhead luggage racks waiting for bags that will never return. The silence would feel almost surreal, like the world pressed pause and forgot to hit play again. But outside, nature keeps moving. Birds fly through broken station windows. Moss spreads across control panels. Trees grow taller every year, slowly hiding the infrastructure that once defined entire regions. Eventually, satellites orbiting Earth might still detect long straight lines crossing forests and mountains, faint patterns left by railways that carried humanity at incredible speeds. But on the ground, they'll just look like part of the landscape. The ghost trains of the future won't be remembered as machines of progress. They'll be fossils of an age when humans believed they had mastered the planet. And maybe, in a strange way, these abandoned railways will become something beautiful. Green corridors stretching across continents, wildlife pathways following the routes once carved by engineers, deer walking the rails, trees growing through stations, forests covering the scars of steel. The trains that once symbolized the future will become monuments to the past, quiet reminders that no matter how fast we build, how advanced our technology becomes, nature always plays the long game. And in the end, the planet doesn't need trains. But the ghost trains will remain for a long, long time, rusting silently beneath the trees, waiting for the wind to pass through broken stations and whisper the story of the world that built them. If you enjoyed exploring this vision of the future, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more cinematic journeys into a world after humans. And stick around, because the next place nature is reclaiming might be even more unbelievable.